Taking a vehicle-based expedition into the deep desert is really a test of man and machine. So here's a closer look at the Land Rovers that took part in our 2022 Lost Patrol expedition into the Sahara.
The vehicle is a Land Rover Defender 110. 1995 is its year. The engine is now a 300 TDI, which I built from scratch, and it replaced a 2.5 naturally aspirated one that we had on the last trip. The tyres, they're Michelin XZLs, 750 R16s, but they've been good as gold, aired up, aired down, no flats, no problems. Storage, I've got 100 litres of water. I've got the cook truck kit, I've got the fitter's truck kit, and space was pretty limited. I only had one issue really, and that was I overheated a little bit. I overcome the problem by bypassing the thermostatic switch for the fan and by taking the cooling system thermostat out. I'm glad I did the changeover with the engine because that's made such a difference. It's given me a lot more flexibility in the dunes, because before, on the last trip, I struggled. I had a 68 horsepower engine and 2 low gearboxes and it didn't work. But this setup with the R380 is good.
Yeah, I'm running a 1986 Defender. It's been modified for a 300 TDI with an R380 gearbox. We put disco axles on because we wanted to fit diff lockers front and back. I'm running MICHELIN Latitude Cross. They're a good off-road tyre, or good sand tyre, because you can let the air out, which increases the track, if you like a tank track. Makes it nice and long and soft walls. Storage in the back for the stuff we need, and the water is fine. As long as you strap it down nice and tight, it doesn't get thrown about too much.
I think the most challenging thing really was, from a physical perspective, was making sure that my heavily laden vehicle got through the dunes and kept up with everybody else, because we're part of a team. We were very, very heavy laden carrying spurs, and I really wanted to get through and keep up with everybody else.
The only breakdown I've had with my truck is we had a rear shock absorber shear. Michelin things just through fatigue, but luckily we had a bit of welding gear, and the addition of a couple of batteries, we managed to effect a really good repair. I always try and pack my truck better than the previous expedition. I never seem to manage it. I look at other people and think, wow, that looks good, and I try and replicate it, but after a couple of days it all finishes up the same mess. But it's something to aim for. Unobtainable, but hopefully one day we'll get there.
Jeeves started out life as a 1987 5-door Defender V8 station wagon. It has been modified greatly by moving the bulkhead to the rear, and it is built in the style of a 1928 Bentley. The engine is a BMW M52 2.8 liter straight 6 petrol engine. The tires that I'm using are dead stock, out of the factory, cross-contact Michelins. They're fantastic. Had no problems whatsoever. They don't have the sidewall strength of the XZLs that the other guys are using in military tires, but they're really good in the sand and they're fantastic on the road. Storage is an issue. It's pretty small in the back, but we accomplished all the needs that we had for storing water by putting a 36-liter water tank in the left rear corner, a 45-liter petrol tank on the right rear corner, and 40 liters of water in 2 jerry cans on the front of the wings. We had a number of issues and small breakdowns because this was literally its shakedown cruise. We only finished building it about 3 weeks before the trip happened. So had we had time to do a small trip in between, we probably would have had less issues. But most of them were fairly small, fuel related, that kind of thing. Probably the biggest lessons that we've learned is make a shakedown cruise before you finish something. And it's great to modify things, but you need to really shake it out to make sure that they work in the deep desert.
My truck is named Shimmy. It's a 1982 Land Rover lightweight. It was made for the Dutch Army, which is why it's left-hand drive. It has an upgraded 200 TDI engine in it, which makes it a lot more reliable. It doesn't have the power of the big 300 TDI trucks, but I can pick a different line and do quite well, so I'll get stuck, but it's generally down to driver error rather than the truck. So it runs military tires, the Michelin XZLs, which are not great for the sand, but they're a really tough tire with tough sidewalls, and so I just keep them and air them way, way down. So far, never lost a tire on it. It can't carry a terrible amount of gear. You can strap stuff all over it, but a lot of overlanders, they look at the Camel Trophy, was the traditional model, and they want to pile a truck up with every possible accessory you can get. And over the years, I've been getting smaller and smaller and smaller and getting rid of more and more stuff. And so I've worked down to the lightweight, which is so far the smallest truck I can foresee taking on long trips. But it suits, it does well. It has twin fuel tanks, it carries lots of water, water filters, food, camping gear, kind of everything we need. It has had no issues on the trip. As the oldest truck in the group, it's actually been pretty reliable. I love the thing. It's definitely different, and it's an eye catcher. You drive through a village or drive anywhere, and they all want to pose with it and sit in it and get their picture taken, and it's quite the head turner and makes the kids laugh.
This is my vehicle, Tikimi. She's a 1995 Land Rover Defender 90. It's got the 300 TDI engine. It's a very venerable old engine. Everything is standard, so that makes maintenance easy. She's running on Michelin XZL tyres. They're probably a little bit too aggressive for the dunes, but they're great on the rocks, so it gives good protection. Some modifications for the expedition, including recovery points, spare tyre on the bonnet, and some extra storage. Also extra jerry cans at the rear. Storage is all in the rear and consists of a drawer system and two secure lockers in the rear tub. Try to keep the vehicle completely original and standard, using standard Land Rover parts, so reliability has been really good. The only issue I've had has been a left rear shock absorber bush, which deteriorated. I don't think that's a standard Land Rover part, so we replaced that in about 5 minutes, and that's the only issue we've had. Now I'm very happy with the vehicle. It's been reliable, it's very manoeuvrable. It's great for the role we use it for an expedition, which is as a scout vehicle. So, yeah, the 90 is a great truck, fit for purpose, and not going to be making any significant changes.
Tembo is a 1986 Defender 110. It's actually the chuck wagon, I like to call it. The engine in Tembo is a 200 TDI with turbocharger. It's a good solid engine, and it generally performs very well in the dunes. The tyres on Tembo are Michelin XZLs. They're actually a really good all-round tyre, but they're not really a sand dune tyre like we meet here in Tunisia. In Tunisia, the sand is like driving through talcum powder. So we can store a fair amount of water and fuel in Tembo. We've got a lifesaver bottle as well. We've also got the fridge, okay, because we're the chuck wagon. Issues, breakdowns, where do I fucking start? We started with an issue, I think, just coming into dues when it threw a fan belt and the temperature came right up. Fortunately, I spotted it without any due harm to the engine, and we put a new spare fan belt on. We were leaving Karat Ali and we heard a clonking noise, and we realised that we'd cracked 2 of the coils on the front spring. Unfortunately, the front springs aren't as easy to fix as the rear springs, and we fitted that, or Bill's garage fitted that out in the desert without any more to do. Lessons learned. If there's anything that you think you need to do to your vehicle before you come out to these adverse conditions in the desert, you've got to do it. If there's something in the back of your mind that you think might be a weak link, it will be. So just check it, sort it before you leave.
I've got a Land Rover Defender 110 Wolf, ex-military. It's a 1998 300 TDI with the R380 gearbox. When I first had it, it came as a hard top, and I've kind of stripped it right back, and it's got like a bikini top, soft top now. I'm still running the military tyres, so I'm running the G90 tyres. In the sand, they've been surprisingly good. Went places other trucks couldn't manage to go. However, I did have a bit of a puncture. Had a huge thorn go down the side of the sidewall. With regards to the truck, the storage, I've kind of put a flat canopy across the back. And I've got ample room really for 2 people with all our bags, tents and food, etc. And the side lockers on the Wolf also come in very handy for storing water and fuel. Haven't really had any issues apart from a couple of shock absorber bushes. I've replaced one this morning. There are a couple of others that need changing, but I will do that when I get home. It's not urgent.
So as you can see, there are endless ways to set up older Land Rovers for desert expeditions. Each of these trucks has been tried and tested in the harshest terrain. They were definitely a key element in the success in our search for the lost patrol.